House Speaker Brian Bosma says a budget deal is close as lawmakers continue eyeing a Friday end to this year's legislative session. The legislature has a framework in place for the budget, and Bosma says while details are still being worked out, everyone agrees on the goals they're working towards: increased public education funding, a tax cut, and money for road projects. Bosma says the tax cut will include elimination of the inheritance tax, continuing a reduction in the corporate tax rate, and part of the governor's proposed income tax cut. The speaker says he's anticipating the details will be released publicly tomorrow. And recent rains and cold weather have kept farmers across Indiana from planting their crops. WTIU's Gretchen Frazee reports on how that could affect the rest of the growing season.
Farmer Tom Hackman grows soybeans, corn, and a variety of vegetables on 1,500 acres in Jackson and Washington counties. He says the season looked like it would be fairly normal, but then the rain started, and it didn't stop. Some of his farmland is now covered with several inches of water.
We're definitely looking to be a week later with our grain crop from what we would typically be. We're still hoping that the produce side that we can stay close to normal.
Hackman is keeping his vegetables and other produce in a greenhouse until the temperatures rise. He and other farmers around the state want to get planting so the crops, especially corn, have plenty of time to mature before next fall. But if farmers put seeds in the ground while the ground is still cold and wet, those seeds could start to rot, ruining their chance of producing. And Jackson County Purdue Extension educator Richard Beckert says high seed prices make getting the timing right extremely important.
Seed's expensive. Fertilizer is expensive. Equipment, anything made out of steel is, expensive. So your return percentage there is just very small. So you want to make sure you're doing everything correct.
There is another chance of rain for much of the state this weekend, but farmers hope the ground will start to dry out early next week. For WTIU News, I'm Gretchen Frazee.
The sequester means the military won't be providing a flyover at next month's Indianapolis 500, but spectators are unlikely to notice. That's because there will still be a flyover. It'll just be a civilian piloting a decommissioned military aircraft. This really isn't unusual. While the flyover is a tradition at the race, it's not always done by the military. A Speedway official says many nonprofit groups have decommissioned military aircraft they make available for air shows and other events. The Speedway is sifting through a handful of flyover options still on the table. For WTIU News, I'm Sara Wittmeyer.